Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Sagittarius for November 2018. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, where you will find a wealth of free resources on astrology and other things. Also, you can book a reading with me. I am off sabbatical. I was on a long sabbatical from taking on new clients. So if you've been wanting to have a reading with me, then you can go to anniehelpsyou.com and book now. So what's going on in November? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. Jupiter's moving into Sagittarius, yay! Oh my gosh. So this is exciting for everybody, especially exciting for Sagittarius. We're going to talk about all of the reasons why. Also this month, we have way more sweet aspects than we do challenging ones. Recently, even a lot of the sweet aspects we've had of late have been coupled with these little dicey ones right next to them. But this month, there's this predominance of positive, sweet energy. So yes, we're still wrangling with Venus retrograde. Yes, we're still wrangling with Mercury retrograde is going to begin as soon as Venus retrograde ends. And we have the shadow period for Venus that stretches well into December. But all of that aside and all of that taken into consideration, I love this time for Sagittarius. And Mercury is going retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius. So lots of things from the past will come up for us to get wrapped up, to get ready to push out into the world, to get ready for this Jupiter push. This is an amazing month for tying up loose ends, polishing things, sweeping things off, getting them ready for this year of amazing growth beyond our wildest dreams. We haven't had Jupiter in our sign for 12 years. So think about what was happening 12 years ago. And often there will be some similar things that go on. So I have something special planned for you this month. This is my 6th year anniversary doing YouTube horoscopes, and those of you who have been with me for any length of time know that I talk about early, middle, and late degree placements, which is very confusing to some people, and I understand it's very underrepresented in the astrology world. So what I have been wanting to do forever, and for various reasons have not been able to pull that through, is show you a visual of why Jupiter, here in this case, plus every other transit we talk about, is not in the same place for different Sages. Why Jupiter is going to be moving into the first for you early degree placements, middle degree placements, it's going to be early middle, it'll be coming soon, but late degree placements, you still have Jupiter really accentuating your 12th house for an extended period of time. So I want to show you the visual as to why that's true. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple more pieces about what Jupiter in Sag can do and what we want to focus on for Jupiter. Then I'm going to click over to this audio that I made for you with the visual and then showing you where Jupiter is and some other things. And then after that, we'll come back to talk about where Jupiter, like what Jupiter in the 12th and first houses can look like and what we can do with that. Okay, so if you are not interested in the chart part, I give you my blessing to fast forward through it. With this caution, you'll be missing out. You'll be seriously missing out. These are like some major aha moments. It's amazing to have the visual, and it will explain to you, especially if you're interested in understanding about early, middle, and late degree placements or in learning astrology on a deeper level. You're going to miss it. But if you want to just fast forward through the time you see the chart until you get me back on the screen, then you can do that. And then we'll get more into Jupiter. Okay, so some things to take away about Jupiter. Go big. That's why we are the way we are. Excessive, out of control, woo, like this all the time, is because Jupiter rules that energy. It's optimistic, it's expansive. So we want to go really big. We want to plant as many seeds as possible, okay? Because any seeds we plant now have 12 years to grow. And you may see things you planted 12 years ago still coming to fruition now in a new way, in the same way, just for the first time. I just had someone text me, which is so beautiful. I love these synchronicities. Speaking of synchronicities, which we'll talk about Jupiter in the 12th house for that. But someone just texted me and said that they were house sitting at a friend's house of our friend where I used to live in their cottage. And I had a very extensive garden there. And one of the things I planted were hollyhock seeds, a massive amount of hollyhock seeds. If you've never seen them, they're beautiful, tall fairy flowers. So they were saying that the hollyhock seeds are growing, and some of them were growing when I was there, but I planted way more seeds than were growing when I was there. So it took the years over time for some of these hollyhock seeds to bust out and grow. And that's what we want to know about this seed planting, is that you can plant the seeds now, and if they don't manifest now, they have a long time to manifest. Expect more freedom. Jupiter wants to bring freedom, so much so that you have to wind up setting limits. That's one of the lessons with Jupiter and Sagittarius, is that things expand so much that you have to see where limits are helpful and learn to set those limits. But in general, a lot more freedom coming. And in many cases, relief. You know, this is a totally different energy than we went through with Saturn moving through Sagittarius. What a royal pain that was. If you have cat planets, you're still kind of dealing with it. I know I have that, but this is like a very buoyant energy. Also understand expansion as a relative topic. So what feels bigger to one person could be different than someone else. So the energy of Jupiter, like let's say as it relates to a house, maybe someone moves to a bigger house and they feel more expanded because the house is bigger, right? But then someone can move to a smaller house and they have less overhead and they feel expanded because they're not married to their mortgage, right? So that can be, that expansion that Jupiter brings is relative, and it can be different for different people. This whole thing about trying to maintain balance is one of the big things with Jupiter. We get so whacked out and out of control as it is, Sag energy, you know, and Jupiter in our sign is just going to be like, oh, you know, the angels are singing and everything's expanding. So we really have to set those daily things, you know, meditation and keeping our feet on the earth and trying to do, you know, grounding and all of the things to maintain balance, because we're going to be like lifting off. And we're going to have to make these and hold these anchors to be able to do things with these buoyant energies that are coming in. Also, astrological transits can bring up weak links. So yes, Jupiter's our BFF for sure, but he can also amplify stuff and bring in a crap storm if it has to be there for us to be dissatisfied enough or aware enough that there's an issue so that we can come to the solution. Jupiter wants to bring solutions. Okay, Saggy friends, here we are going to do it. Okay, so we are going to look finally at why I talk about the difference between early, middle, and late degree placements. Why I take the time to do it, why I think it's important, and you're going to have a visual. It's hard to understand it sometimes without having a visual reference, okay? So don't hang your hat too heavily on other things that you're seeing in the chart. I want to focus just specifically on the fact that all the planets here shift to the right, so they shift clockwise, the later degree placement you have, or the later into Sag your birthday is, okay? So we're talking about Jupiter. Here's Jupiter about to go into Sag, right? So 28 degrees Scorpio. You can see it's about to go into the first house. This is the early degree chart. I used 4 degrees for our early degree chart because that's halfway in between the 0 and 9 degrees that our early degree placements cover. Okay, so for middle degree, we used 14 because that's halfway between the 10 and 19. And then for late degree, we use 24 because that's halfway between 20 and 29 degrees, which is the later degree placements, okay? So basically your birthdays, the first 10 days of the month, you're early, middle 10 days of the month, or not the month, the cycle for Sagittarius, and then the sign. And then the last 10 days is the late degree. So look at Jupiter. Jupiter in early degrees is imminently moving here. Middle degree, look how Jupiter shifts to the right. See how the difference is? Like here to here? It shifts to the right. So middle degree placements, you're going to start feeling it moving in your first house, but it's still in your 12th house. And you late degree placements, look at that. You're pretty much in the 12th house, right? You're just getting ready to go in the 12th house. You're not getting ready to go in the first house. That's not going to happen for you until you'll start feeling the Jupiter going into the first house thing more like in 6 months, and then it will go backwards, and then it will get stronger after that. And then this middle degree placement, this will be staggered by a couple of months before it really gets into this first house. Everyone will feel the energy of Jupiter in Sag, globally, every Sag, every sign. But notice how everything in the chart moves back. Like just another couple of quick examples just to drive this home. And then we'll get back to the regular report about how I can see Jupiter affecting us, okay? So, Saturn had been being a beast in some cases and also bringing things to major fruition in other cases. And it's, for early degree placements, it's been playing in this arena of the second house, okay? Don't hang your hat too heavily on where these lines between the houses are. Those are those are not exact, and we're not going to talk about that, but just understand that Saturn, when it moved into Cap, has been influencing for the early degree placements the second house. But you can see that Saturn for the middle degree placements has been here. And then Saturn for later degree, it's way over here. So it's going to take years before Saturn really starts getting into the second house energies for the late degree placements, but it's been very current for this whole year for the early degree placements. So the further the planet is from us, the longer it takes for the later degree placements to have it catch up to where the early degree placements are. Okay, so you can just see how all the things shift clockwise. So like look in general of some things going on here. Early degree placements have all this energy in the fourth house, right? Okay, well, you can see those same placements for middle degree. They're shifted over more into the third house. And then for the later degree, there's all that, those things that were in the fourth house for y'all early, they're still in the third house for the middle. Okay, so that's what I wanted to give you the visual for. Now I'm going to go back to talking about the potential implications of Jupiter in the places that we just talked about, specifically for each placement. Okay, so one more thing before we get to looking at where Jupiter is going to be in your chart for each Sag placement. We want to talk about birthdays, because the beginning of the sign, you're going to start to have your birthdays. And for the people who have their rising sign or moon sign, whatever you're watching for, early in the sign, so like the November born or the first, 8 to 10 degrees, you will also in this time have your sun crossing over your Sag point, whatever it is. So birthday wishes are real. Birthday wishes are astrologically based. Birthday wishes are coming from the sun, getting back to the same point in the chart that it was at when you were born. See, 23 degrees for this person. And when that happens, a portal is created. Woo, portal. Where the universe is more receptive to your desires at that point. So the sun, of course, the sun doesn't move, but from the heliocentric perspective, which is what we look at this type of astrology, is with the Earth in the middle watching the rotation of the planets. So from our perspective, the sun, over the course of the year, moves in its orbit. It takes a year to get back to the same point that it was at when we were born. And so every year we have this solar return when the sun comes back. And that's when the portal opens. So that gives you 10 birthday wishes. You say them out loud. You write them down. You feel them as if they're already true. And that helps you to maximize the birthday wishes. So happy birthday to our early Saggies. Happy energy of rebirth to those rising and moon sign early placements, as you'll feel that boost as the sun gets over your placements. And to maximize your wishes further, watch my video. If you just search for Annie Making Wishes Come True, you'll see my video that will give you more details about how you can maximize your birthday wishes. So now we can talk about the other things that I wanted to talk about away from the charts. Okay, so wasn't that exciting? Gosh. So now that you can see why Jupiter is going to be in a different area for early, middle, and late degree placements, let's talk about those placements. So you early degree placements, you're going to have Jupiter starting to expand that first house. This tendency to lift can be very profound here. A major crossroads can occur because it's crossing over a major point in your chart. Optimism, joy, excitement, a feeling of a clean slate as Jupiter moves over the ascendant or your sun or your moon or whatever you're watching for. This can bring an increased focus on physicality, physical health, and vitality. It can expand your sense of self. Some people can gain weight during this transit because Jupiter is a great expander and it's moving through your physical body house. If you're trying to gain muscle or if you've been underweight, this can be beautiful and helpful for you. If you're not trying to gain weight, you might have to do some extra work because being self-indulgent, Jupiter can make you do that more when it's in this placement. So you might get more lazy. And so you have to try to convert that energy to being active so that you can use the expansive energy in the way you want to, like for expanded health, expanded muscle, instead of expanded weight, if that's not what you're looking for. Also, this self-esteem can be lifted in a very big way. So, you know, really starting to get more confidence and feeling on your path and on track and solid in your gifts. Sometimes it can get carried away and, you know, have the energy be so much focused on self that we have to temper it a little bit, because it's so lifting, and we're already so, you know, so saggy. So this energy of changing how you put yourself out in the world, expanding how people see you and how you present yourself, is going to be a very major theme for a long time. So remember, if you're not a middle or late degree placement, all these things I'm talking about in the first house, you're going to experience those too. It's just going to be staggered for you. Okay, so, you know, a few months in middle degree, you'll start getting them, you know, in a little bit into 2019. Late degree placements will start having the whispers more of this. But then it will retrograde, so it won't be later into 2019 that this is going to happen for you later degree placements. So the 12th house is what's being accentuated for the middle and the late degree placements. So let's talk about that. The 12th house is the house of one of the houses of unseen worlds. So intuition, metaphysical studies, you know, communicating intergalactically or with fairies or with archangels or guides or spirits or people who have crossed over. The extrasensory perceptions can be very drastically improved and increased at this time. I have Jupiter natally in my 12th house, so this transit that middle and late degree placements are working with for this time period, I have this all the time. So I know this very well. So this whole thing of, you know, being connected to your subconscious mind through affirmation work, through lucid dreaming, through asking yourself a question before you go to sleep and then having the answer come to you in the dream or as you wake up. That is amazing for now. Past life regression, hypnosis, working with subliminal recordings, you know, anything that, you know, like I said, people that crossed over, your extrasensory perceptions are likely to be expanded at this time. It can be overwhelming and you may need to pull in and have more quiet. This is another energy of the 12th house. It's retreat, it's quiet, it's sabbatical, it's, you know, taking the time to deal with the heightened sensitivities and taking the time to disconnect. Sagittarius can be very social, but we also take on a lot of energy from other people. So you have to balance that, especially at this time, with claiming your own space. And if you can try to make daily time for that, especially during this time, that would be great. Going on spiritual retreats, you know, anything where you're taking quiet time would be great. Synchronicities are more likely to become the norm. Synchronicities, so the thing like the hollyhocks, you know, my friend texting just while I'm talking about these seed planting and how they can come up years later, you know, that's a beautiful synchronicity. And people who are focused on synchronicities will see that, you know, there are more than when you focus on them. And this period of time can bring like these, oh gosh, you know, just things that come straight out of a crazy book. So things going on behind the scenes, clandestine things may come into the forefront. This can lay groundwork on a deep level for future expansion. This can also make your inner world feel way more real than the outer world, you know. It's a time of quiet personal reflection. So whatever you can do to support that is very good. This is also the house of fears. So things that you've been afraid of, you know, Sagittarius tend to look at things through rose-colored glasses, not really always realize the way they're being affected negatively by things and their fears. You know, they just kind of go do everything fearlessly seeming and with a great attitude. But then there are these fears that sometimes, well, very often will manifest in psychosomatic physical issues. So if you've had health issues, you may be able to make great headway by doing psychological work to clear up things that are originating from, you know, deeply rooted fears or trauma. Those of you who have autoimmune disease, this is a big thing with this, because these psychosomatic things can really create issues with autoimmune disease, and it's becoming more rampant. And for those of you who know somebody who have autoimmune disease and maybe who think they're crazy and they're a hypochondriac, they're not. this is very, very real. This is a manifestation from trauma. So if you have an autoimmune disease, definitely look into, do a search for EFT and autoimmune disease. You'll find Jessica Ortner's tapping protocol for it. It is a paid thing. She has some free videos, but I highly recommend you get it if you have autoimmune disease, because this is a time when you can really heal some of these deeply rooted, persistent things that could be continually growing in their debilitation, but you can nip it and reverse it. This energy is amazing for being able to get to the bottom of these issues. People with autoimmune disease have an imprint, and that imprint tends to be the person that does too much. And so she's got a really powerful, powerful work for that. So let's see. So those are the things that are most on my mind for Sages. And now I want to talk about these sweet days, these sweet aspects, the few dicey ones to look out for. I'll give you the days to watch, the transits to watch, and I'll talk about some other things about Jupiter in Sag. So my theme of the month of November 2018 for all signs is defiant optimism and relentless hope. And I'm getting this from the energy of Jupiter in Sagittarius. We've just talked at length about how Jupiter in each of the houses of, your individual sign can bring that energy of Jupiter into certain areas of your life. But the general experience for everybody that everyone has access to has to do with this increased energy of sparkling luck, defiant optimism, relentless hope, unprecedented growth, glorious expansion, because Jupiter is so happy to be in its own sign, and this only happens for 1 year every 12 years. So it's a very big deal. You can think back to what was going on 12 years ago and the kinds of themes and things that showed up, and you can see how it may relate to this current transit. Of course, there are different factors at play now than there were then as well. It's always more complicated. And of course, not every person is going to experience the energy of defiant optimism and relentless hope. We shade how we see things with how we are and what our outlook is, or what we have going on in our lives, or whatever our more personal chart has going on that we may not be able to see in the general horoscope. So we see things sometimes as we are, or as influences are around us, not always how they really are, right? Reality is subjective. But in any case, this energy of teaching, learning, speaking, writing, publishing, religious, spiritual work, international travel, international business, global connections, different countries, different cultures, different languages, general expansion, general happiness, general freedom is this theme that's running through for the next year, from the end of 2018 through the end of 2019. So Jupiter is the natural ruler of Sagittarius in the 9th house. It's most happy here and exuberant. We can see this energy of one's perceptions or beliefs being broadened. Many people will have learning frenzies where they feel so driven to learn more, and the things that they're learning may be more diverse in nature. Maybe they'll go headlong into one course of study, or maybe it's a general course of study under which there are lots of little pieces. Jupiter likes to get its fingers in a lot of pudding pies. So Jupiter favors breadth, sometimes even over depth. It's the more seeds you plant now during this time, the more plants can grow from the seeds that you've planted over the next 12 years. So zealotry with a belief system or studies can definitely happen, because Jupiter is the energy of excess. So we'll see this extra oomph being added to however Jupiter is manifesting. So the energy of legal matters can also come through in a very big way. One of the rulers of the legal realm is Sagittarius and the 9th house. So sometimes there's an amplification of a problem that's already brought to the law. Sometimes, this escalation brings it, but it will very likely be in the forefront over the next year. So we still have Venus retrograde until the middle of the month, and so we're not going to be seeing clearly in love, beauty, and money in many regards. However, Venus retrograde can also bring in things that we plan to do for a long time, things that we were hoping for, things that we were working towards can magically start to come in wonderful ways. If there are issues in love, self-esteem, or money or finances, sometimes those issues come back up to be dealt with. Sometimes things that we've dealt with in the past now come in as blessings in this time. So definitely check out my resources. I've done so much work for you on Venus retrograde, but I'm not going to get into that here because you can look at the October horoscope to see where Venus has been working in your sign. You can also look up Annie Botticelli, Venus retrograde, to find my blog, very comprehensive, and my video, very comprehensive, that tells you everything that you need to know about Venus retrograde and how to navigate the transits. We are also going to have Mercury going retrograde. So that is another factor here that has to be taken into consideration. On the 15th, we have the retreat of Mercury from 13 degrees of Sagittarius back to 27 degrees of Scorpio. So that rolls until around December 6th. And then the post-shadow period runs until around the 24th of December. So if you're trying to focus on Christmas shopping or whatever other holidays you celebrate, the later kind of last minute shoppers will probably benefit more here, because by the time you're getting into mid-December, a lot of the shadow period of the Mercury, retrograde and post-shadow, post-transit shadow period will have passed. So you're better off doing it later, because there are a lot of factors involving money. But follow your flow. If you're feeling inspired, just do your thing. But you will notice, if you track making purchases when Mercury's in retrograde over time, that they tend to come in broken or the wrong size, or you don't like it or the person doesn't like it. It increases the odds of communication about what people want and about what you're ordering. So the energy is more clear towards the middle of December. So, the couple of weeks before the holiday times. So now, since we've found this amazing truth that there are more positive aspects this month than there are negative aspects, and there are a massive amount. This is a very rare month indeed. I want to touch on some of those beautiful aspects. First, I'm going to give you the dates that the positive aspects happen. And remember, when I give you the dates, that sometimes you feel the expression before or after that day. Don't cling too tightly to the actual day, because there are orbs of energy around each transit that can manifest in the days before or after. So November 1st, these are the sweet days, or the sweet aspects. November 1st, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 11th, 15th, 20th, 22nd, 23rd, 25th, 26th, and 27th. So within all of that, we also have some of the best, beautiful aspects of the year, with Jupiter coming together with personal planets that can bring amazing luck, some of the luckiest days of the year. So we have those wrapped up into this, okay? So the likelihood of stress, challenges, and overstimulation or general awkwardness is more likely in the days around the 15th, 19th, 22nd, 23rd, and 30th. So you notice a lot less here, a lot less. We start out November. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of some of the main transits and what you can expect with them. But to get more details about this and a written version of it, definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and sign up for my free email newsletter, and you will get a month ahead the written version of the transit so that you can plan around it, because I know many people, including myself, do that. So the first, we've got this amazing transit with Jupiter and Chiron in a trine. This is a major boost to ignite your superhero self. Anything that was a challenge in the past could come back to you in a wonderful way. Let's say you've had a problem, it's been ongoing, you've been working on it, or there's an area of life that you have to work harder in. This period of time could bring major blessings in those areas. We also have, between the 5th and the 6th, the Sun and Neptune being in a beautiful aspect that can boost love and intimacy and tenderness and spiritual breakthroughs and creativity. On the 7th, we've got the new moon at 15 degrees of Scorpio. And this is time to make your new moon and wishes of anything Scorpio related. So anything having to do with debt, loans, borrowing money, loaning money, inheritances, intimacy, sex, power, esoteric studies, psychology, anything along the Scorpio lines. Between November 8th and 9th, we've got Jupiter entering Sagittarius. Yay! This is very exciting. Very, very happy in that place. We've talked at length about that. Then on the 9th, we also have Venus making a beautiful aspect with Mars, the female energies and male energies blending beautifully at this time. The draw to connect socially and romantically may be stronger now, and nice outcomes from that. Of course, still be aware that Venus is in retrograde, so you're not seeing clearly in love. And because of the closeness to Mercury being in retrograde, just keep it in mind as you're navigating through these relationship things. But either way, energy returning from the past rather than new endeavors are better supported, but just male and female energies coming together can really sizzle now. It's also great for charisma and creativity and overall sweetness. Okay, so then on November 11th, we've got the Sun in this beautiful aspect with Pluto. And this has to do with your determination and your drive and your purpose, which can feel extra strong right now. Even though Venus in retrograde doesn't work well to support major launches, this is a time that expansion of something already in process can be great. So if you're following a continuum, you have something that you've been doing and then you add to it, you enhance it. This is a period of time where things like that can do well, like edits or experimentation to work that's already in play, or betas, things like that. Maybe you might be able to get some information there. Okay, so the 15th, Mars and Uranus are in a beautiful aspect. And this has to do with exciting and positive change, can have to do with wild insights that could turn out to have major merit. The energy of Uranus is fleeting. So if anything is going on in this time and you have a really good idea, definitely write it down, because you think when you have the idea, there's no way I'll forget this idea, but Uranus energy tends to, it's not very stable. But you could do something more substantial with it in the future if you hold on to it. So write down your crazy ideas. November 15th, we've got Venus direct at 25 degrees of Libra. That post-shadow period ends December 18th. So we're moving out of the Venus retrograde cycle, but there's still like a hangover of it where you're still really feeling it. And the rules still apply to a lesser degree with each day you pass out of the transit. November 15th, also, Mercury goes retrograde at 13 degrees of Sag, back to 27 degrees of Scorpio. So Mercury can often bring back to us places, people, creative projects, ideas that were present before that can come back. You may find that you are very drawn to do work on publishing things. It's not the best time to launch them, but it is an amazing time to work with them in the backdrop, to do edits, to wrap up things in anticipation of this open window that's coming soon that we've been waiting for forever to push things out. I love the end of December and into January for pushing your publishing or other projects out. So this is a great time to tie up loose ends. November 19th, we've got one of those challenging aspects, Mars and Jupiter. So guard against injuries, especially now. You're more likely to get a cold, or your resistance may be down from overstimulation. This can also manifest as like wanting to expand, but then expansion or movement being blocked. But that should pass over a few days. Then on November 20th, we have another sweet aspect with the Sun and Chiron. So this can bring a wonderful chance for releasing heavy baggage. So Venus is making more of its movement direct. Maybe things that came up in that retrograde may be starting to shift now. And a notable physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual healing is very possible from this transit. Which brings us to November 22nd through the 23rd, the full moon at almost 1 degree of Gemini. It is squaring Mars and opposing Mercury and squaring Neptune and opposing Jupiter. So it's a pretty busy, maybe could be very stressful full moon, but there are positive aspects that can come from it. So fullness, completion, drama, fruition, coming to anything Gemini. Any travel things. You could have a trip come up or being followed through with. You could have something notable with your car. Be extra careful driving, because Gemini rules transportation and walking and biking and skating and whatever else, flying. Okay, so Neptune moves direct at 13 degrees of Pisces on November 24th. So this can help the fantasies that we've been rolling around in move forward into tangible reality. November 25th and 26th and 27th, we have the Sun and Jupiter getting together in Sag, and then we have the Sun and Mercury getting together. And all of that's wrapped in with this Jupiterian energy. So good news, good luck, auspicious, random things, things expected, things that you planned. This is a beautiful time. So smile big with awesome expectation. Okay, so then we've got November 30th, we've got another little bump here with Venus opposing Uranus. That often brings jolts or surprises or arguments or stressors in love and money. So just breathe deep and know that usually the things that come up with these type of transits feel really upsetting at the time, but they tend to pass pretty quickly. Okay, so these are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits. And I hope that you definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, check out my wealth of resources on my free blogs. Also, you can sign up for my free email newsletter and get updates as far as these newsletters that I send out with the month ahead written. Also, when I update my written horoscopes at cozybysweetstarlight.com. Cozybysweetstarlight.com, I have written horoscopes that often cover different information than I do in the videos. So you can see those, and when you sign up for my free email newsletter, you will know when I update the upcoming month, which of course everything is always ahead of time with me. Then if you're a traveler, go to astrologykissedtravelbliss.com. That is my travel astrology website where I do monthly travel astrology reports if you're traveling, special transits to note for travelers. And if you want a reading, I am still open. I have been closed for a long time on sabbatical from taking on new clients, but if you'd like to have me look at your chart, go to anniehelpsyou.com and you can book a reading with me live. And if you're interested in tarot, definitely go to my husband's website, IamHelios, IamHelios.com, and check out his tarot course where you can learn tarot, and he also does readings. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.